Everybody, my name is Jigdish. In today's session, we will study about the solar radiation at the Earth's surface. So how the solar radiation reaches the Earth's surface and what amount of energy is received by the Earth, so that one we have to study in this session. So we know that the sun is a major source of energy. The sun is around 150 million kilometers away from the Earth's surface. The sun temperature or surface temperature of the sun is 6000 Kelvin. The sun emits the solar radiation in all the directions uniformly. But only some of the radiations are coming towards the Earth's surface, and these radiations contains number of radiations, or we can call it as this is the electromagnetic radiation. That is, it contains the solar radiation contains the X-rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, visible light, infrared rays, microwaves and radio waves. So among all these electromagnetic radiation, some of them are useful to human beings and animals on the Earth's surface, but some of the rays are very dangerous to human beings and also for the living things on the Earth's surface. So we are protected by the Earth atmosphere. So it contains 5 layers, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere. All these layers plays an important role in protecting the Earth's surface and the living things on the Earth's surface. So here very frequent radiations, if we call it as the gamma rays, the X-rays and ultraviolet radiations are very dangerous to the environment, which is for all living things. So in that case, these X-rays and gamma rays are absorbed by the oxygen and dust molecules or clouds, and these radiations will not come towards the Earth's surface, there only it scatters. Here the X-rays and gamma rays are most dangerous radiations which are filtered by the atmosphere, from the oxygen and the nitrogen molecules which are present in the Earth atmosphere, those atoms absorbs the X-rays and gamma rays, and very high frequency radiations will comes towards the Earth's surface. The reason is that the most gamma rays will not penetrate through the Earth atmosphere, because it interacts with the molecules. That's why these radiations are filtered in the thermosphere itself. And the ultraviolet radiations, which are very dangerous or hazardous to the living things on the Earth's surface, that is filtered by the ozone layer, which is present in the stratosphere region of the Earth atmosphere. The total solar radiations will not come towards the Earth's surface after passing through the Earth atmosphere. Here most of the rays gets reflected by the clouds, and some of the radiations get absorbed and some of the radiations get scattered. The scattering of these molecules, the scattering of the solar radiation, that is due to the molecules, that is a tiny water droplets or dust particles. That's why some of the radiations changes its direction, directly it will not fall on the Earth's surface. Remaining solar radiation after the scattering, after the absorption, after the reflection, only it reaches the Earth's surface. In that solar radiation, it contains most of the dangerous radiations also, and most of the radiations get filtered by the Earth atmosphere. In that radiations, we can divide that into 2 types, that is the direct radiation and the diffuse radiation. The direct radiation means the solar radiation which incident directly on the ground, without absorption or scattering or reflection. Such radiation is called the direct radiation. And the diffused radiation is the solar radiation which reaches the Earth's surface after the reflection, after the absorption and after the scattering of the molecules. So such radiations are called the diffuse radiation. So these diffuse radiations and the direct radiations are totally called as the global radiation or insolation. So here the insolation means the total radiation which comes towards the Earth's surface. So it is called as the insolation. It is the sum of the direct and diffuse radiation. So this insolation is derived from the word, so it is incoming solar radiation. Here the insolation can be defined as the amount of solar radiation which is received on the Earth's surface per unit area per unit time. So it's called insolation. The two basic laws which governs the insolations are the Weins displacement law and Stefan-Boltzmann law. So by using these two laws, we can explain how much amount of energy is received from the Earth's surface and how much amount of energy is emitted from the sun. So we have already studied about this Weins displacement law and Stefan-Boltzmann law. So factors influencing the insolation are, first one is the rotation of the Earth on its axis. So we know that the Earth is not stationary. It is rotating about its own axis. But it is not, if we divide that Earth into x-axis and y-axis, so then we get the tilted angle. So it is not exactly rotating like this. So it is tilted and rotating. The rotation of the Earth influences on the amount of solar radiation received on the Earth's surface at different latitudes. So because of that rotation of the Earth, the solar radiations which are coming towards the Earth's surface, so it is not uniform, so it is different value for different latitudes. So based on the latitude, so we have divided into three parts, that is low latitude zone, middle latitude zone and polar zone. So all these are based on the, that is the amount of radiation received from the sun, so in certain angle. Next, the factor affecting the insolation is the angle of incidence of the sun rays. So we know that the Earth's surface is not a flat, so it looks like a sphere. It means that the solar radiations which comes towards this Earth's surface is not exactly parallel to the surface. Slightly, so the solar radiations, in certain region it must travel certain longer distance and it will fall in a slant rays or slant positions. So in such cases, the amount of solar radiation received is less. So whenever the angle of incidence is more, then the less amount of insolations is received on the Earth's surface. If it is exactly perpendicular to the Earth's surface, so then the maximum amount of solar radiations is received at the Earth's surface. So here the amount of insolation depends on the angle of incidence. So it changes throughout the day. So it is not a constant. So at a particular place. So next is the duration of the day. The duration of the day varies from place to place and season to season. The amount of insolation received on the Earth's surface depends on the duration of the day. So it changes throughout the day. The surface temperature at a particular location on the Earth is directly related to the duration of the insolation. If longer the day, so if the daytime is more, so in such cases the amount of solar radiations or the amount of insolation received at the Earth's surface is more. If the duration is less, the amount of solar radiations will be received by the earth's surface will be less. And also the duration of the day is depends on the seasons. In a winter season and summer season and rainy seasons, so all these seasons affects the solar radiations or insolation. Next is the transparency of the atmosphere. The transparency of the atmosphere is depends on the amount of radiations get absorbed by the atmosphere. So most of the radiations are absorbed in the cloud itself. So in the cloudy season or in the cloudy seasons we will not get solar radiations on the earth's surface. So that is filtered or that is absorbed by the cloud itself. So in such cases the amount of insolations which reaches the earth's surface is less. The amount of solar radiation absorbed, scattered and reflected by the clouds or dust particles or any water droplets, so that decides the amount of insolation reaches the earth's surface. Next is the earth distance to the sun. We know that the sun is at 150 million kilometers away from the earth's surface, but it is not exact value. So it changes at aphelion and perihelion. Because so it is not revolving around the sun in a circular orbit. So instead of that, so it is revolving in elliptical orbit. So in aphelion, so it is 153. At aphelion, so it is 153 million kilometers from the earth's surface. So in the perihelion, so it is 147 million kilometer from the earth's surface. So by taking the average of these two, so we will get a 150 million kilometer from the earth's surface. So this affects the solar radiation which is received on the earth's surface. So whenever it is in the perihelion, the solar radiations falling on the earth's surface is more. In the aphelion, so this amount of insolation received by the earth's surface is less. So next is the solar constant. What does the solar constant means? So that is the amount of solar radiation received on the earth's surface per unit area per unit time. So it's called solar constant. So we can calculate the solar constant at any place on the earth's surface, but so here this name itself mentions that the solar constant, but it is not a constant value. So it is not a constant at a particular place or a particular earth surface. Its value is found to be 1367 watt per meter square, but it is not a constant value. So its value varies from place to place. So it varies from 13402 so 1390 watt per meter square. So easily we can calculate the solar constant value so at a particular location or a particular point. So by using the formulas from the device which measures the solar constant is called the pyrheliometer or pyranometer, also we can use to find out the solar constant value. By knowing the solar constant value, so we can find out how much amount of solar radiation is received by the earth's surface at that particular point or particular location. In this session, so we have studied about this amount of solar radiation received at the earth's surface. In the next session, so we will study about the solar radiation geometry. Thank you all.